The job search journey is really fun in America, but a big issue to watch out for is scams and companies that take advantage of international students by not sponsoring visas, by not paying, and putting you guys in really difficult situations. In this video, Mandy's going to really help you guys out to avoid these scams and make sure you have solid OPT jobs and maybe H-1B sponsorship in the future. Hey friends, welcome to Chine Coaching. I'm Rob, and at Chine Coaching, we love helping people be successful in their cross-cultural journeys, especially in their job search. And international students are unfortunately preyed upon by companies and cheated, lied to, which can actually hurt your visa and make you lose your visa. And so Mandy at Argo has some great tips and experience coaching, guiding students, fixing these issues. We're going to break down OPT job scams and visa issues to help you guys out today. Mandy, please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thanks so much, Robert, and thanks for having me back on Chine Coaching. So as Rob mentioned, I work with Argo Visa. I am a former visa officer, one of those officers that sits behind that window that used to interview, hundreds of visa applicants every day. And my work experience with the State Department as a visa officer was in China, in Mexico, and in Hong Kong. I've made decisions on over 100,000 visa applications. I've seen every type of situation you can imagine, from tourist visas to student visas to H-1Bs. And today we're going to talk about something a little bit more serious than that, OPT issues. A little bit about Argo Visa. We're the world's first company made up of former visa officers who help visa applicants prepare for that visa stamping interview. And we have worked in places like India and China and Mexico and Brazil. Currently, we have 25 ex-visa officers that work with us, and they just help you prepare for this very important interview.
So yeah, unfortunately, this is a very difficult, touchy topic, but Mandy, what are these OPT problems that students face and how do they get caught up in these visa scams?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think really all of this kind of came to light a couple of years ago, that there are thousands of students who've been caught up in the scam because basically the State Department and Customs and Border Patrol came together, came up with a list of students who've been involved in these issues and started revoking their visas in a blanket fashion. And so this is when it came to light that this was actually happening to students. And so a lot of these companies are very specific in who they target. So for example, for Indian national students, we have heard of 4 different companies. One I believe is named AZ Tech, another one is named Integra, where thousands of Indian national students were just getting caught up in these scams. And initially, they're not really aware it's a scam because it starts off like any other OPT internship. Usually students are getting recruited by, recruiters that they find online, or people are reaching out to them on job search websites. And this is what has happened to a few of our clients, that somebody actually reached out to them and said, I have this great job opportunity for you. It sounds like any other internship. So this is where it gets a little bit tricky, because it sounds like a legitimate job offer, but as time goes on, they're asked to pay for certain training courses that they do, and the students will pay, and then eventually the recruiter and the company will stop being in touch after the students have paid for the training, have done some of the trainings. So I believe the scam aspect of it comes from the fact that these companies are making money off of having students pay for trainings. And a lot of times it's not even that much money. It's a few $100s. And then, but they're replicating the scam with lots of students around the country and making money off of students this way. So then what ends up happening to the students is they pay for the training, they're waiting for, placement with another company, which is what these agencies do. And then they stop hearing from the company, no phone calls are returned, no emails are returned. And this is a big part of the problem. So students usually in this situation, and a lot of times it's not even their fault. Some of these agencies are actually being promoted on university websites as legitimate agencies. But then, this happens to them and they're like, okay, well, that didn't work out, so I'm going to go ahead and find another OPT internship. and they actually end up finding, a legitimate job, doing great, getting that H-1B petition. Ultimately, one day they will just get an email from the State Department that says, hey, your visa has been revoked. It has come to our attention that you maybe have worked with a fraudulent company or perpetrated fraud. And for students in this situation, I'm very sympathetic because I think because these companies are so smart in how they target the students, it doesn't immediately occur to them that this might not be legitimate until it's too late.
Yeah, and this is heartbreaking because students lose money, lose out on good job opportunities, and then even potential visa access. And just to clarify for our viewers, CPT is for internships while they're studying, and then OPT is for full-time jobs after graduation, but it can happen in both of these. And so, Mandy, what can people do if their visa actually has been revoked because of these problems and these scams?
Yeah, I mean, it is very heartbreaking. I think the best thing to do is to find an expert that you can work with that can guide you through the process and try to really be proactive in the process. This is something that we really believe in at Argo Visa. If this sounds like a situation that you've been in, perhaps you started out working with a company and then you got ghosted, they stopped responding to you, anything that feels remotely strange, contact an expert and see how this could affect your visa status in the country and your visa record. Because for a lot of these students, it's not right away that they get the email revocations. We've had lots of clients come to us. They're years away from their OPT. They're already on their H-1B. They've been in their job for a couple of years when they get the email. And part of that is because it takes the State Department time to put all of these things in their system, and it could happen at any time, which is why I just want all students to pay attention to what has been going on with their employers, even if they're not sure exactly what happened. If it feels like something doesn't feel right, the best thing to do is to get ahead of it, be proactive about trying to fix the process or do something about it while you can.
Yeah, and I know personally multiple friends who've been caught up in that with companies who, wanted them to pay for training, or who they worked for a whole summer internship and then never got paid, or promised visa sponsorship and never got it, and then they're stuck and are going to lose access to America. So this happens multiple different ways. But Mandy, what happens with people kind of at their next visa interview when they're kind of stuck in these scams? They're reached out by the State Department. What can they expect, or what do you think will happen at those visa interviews for them?
Yeah, they're likely to face a very tough visa interview. For these types of students, if you've already had your visa interview before, generally it's pretty quick. It can be 2 to 3 minutes. You've probably gotten your visa approved. This next interview, after you've gotten such an email or you've been in such a situation, is going to be much longer. It's probably going to be between 10 and 30 minutes, sometimes longer. Occasionally, visa applicants are asked to come back for a second or even a third interview as they sort of figure out, what exactly happened, who's at fault, what was your level of participation? Did you know what was going on? So students need to be very prepared for this type of interview, but because they're likely to be grilled.
And is this like a review case or a visa stamping or a renewal visa, or what kind of visa interview is happening with this situation?
It's really any type of visa interview that is your
Okay.
next visa interview. So it could be a renewal F1 while you're renewing, but you're on OPT already, or perhaps, you're applying for your H-1B visa for the first time, or sometimes we've even seen it where it's a renewal H-1B. So you've already moved on from the process. OPT couldn't be further from your mind, but it's just that next interview that you have, because once this kind of information gets into the system and comes up in your record, you're very likely to have to address it at your next interview. And it could even be for a tourist visa. All of the visa record is just connected. So it doesn't matter what type of visa you're applying for, first time or second time or third time, it is going to be an issue that you have to be prepared for.
My friends, if you're finding this helpful, give a big like and thumbs up to this video to say thanks to Mandy. And our chai question for you guys is, what issues or scams have you faced in your own job search, in your own career journey? Either you or a friend, tell us in the comments, because we want to learn from each other, share what ones that you guys have faced or heard of, and let's dialogue and communicate in the comments to help learn, educate, and protect each other as well. And so, Mandy, why is it important to be prepared for these situations that are really difficult for students to face?
I think it's important to be prepared because your next visa officer is going to have a lot of questions, but they're actually looking for specific relevant information in making that decision about your visa. I think for most students who get caught up in these sorts of scams, they are so nervous with the interview that they just have so many things to say. And, it's like they go up to the window and they just are like, oh, this happened and this happened and this happened and it wasn't my fault. It's really not the best way to handle your visa interview in a very reactive state, or where you're trying to, indicate that this is not your fault. I know this sounds a little bit counterintuitive, but what you want to do is give very relevant and concise information that the visa officer is looking for in helping them make their decision. Hopefully in your favor, but again, explaining what happened, being truthful, and it really requires working with an expert to be prepared for these situations, because they can be very tense interviews. You're nervous, your education and your career and your future in the United States is on the line. And so it's really not something that you want to just take a risk with and see how you do, because there's a lot riding on this interview.
Yeah, this is not something you want to take a chance with. You want to be prepared, coached, know what to say, how this process is going to work. So yeah, you can hopefully come out on the good side of things with these issues. And I know with a lot of this visa immigration stuff, sometimes I refer people to immigration lawyers, but how in this specific situation would Argo be different than maybe an immigration lawyer, and how are ways that you guys can help people out?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the difference between us and immigration attorneys is every single Argo officer has been a former vice consul or a former consul behind the visa window making these decisions. We know how these decisions are made, how exactly we can guide students in being honest and truthful, but also very compelling, because visa officers are human beings. We're not robots. We are listening to you. We are trying to make the right decision for you, but also for the United States, whether or not you should be allowed into the country. And with immigration attorneys, while they have a lot of experience with USCIS and, maybe RFEs and, how to deal with USCIS, they a lot of times are in the dark about the State Department's consular operations and how we make these decisions, because they don't get to attend interviews with their clients. So we're kind of coming at it from a totally different angle.
And just so you guys know, Argo is a company that Chine Coaching we love to partner with. We've already got great success stories of students who have had coaching calls with Argo and gotten huge help, whether it was preparing for a visa interview, figuring out why they got rejected on a visa, or getting stuck with these kind of scams. And so definitely want to encourage you guys to check out Argo. We're gonna have links in the video description and in the comments where you guys can click and check out who Argo is, what they do, how they can help you out, how to avoid these issues, or if you get stuck in them, how to get out of them and continue to have a successful journey with studies and your career here abroad in America. Mandy, thanks so much. Really appreciate you taking time, appreciate the incredible services that you guys offer to help people have a great abroad journey. Yeah, thanks so much.
Thanks so much, Robert. And one other thing I want to mention is, there are some students that we have heard of where this has happened to them, and because they couldn't get the help that they needed, they've literally just given up and gone back to their home countries because they felt like this issue couldn't be overcome. And if that is you or a friend that you know, let them get in touch with us, because it's possible that all is not lost. Perhaps there is something that we can do. And we've worked with a lot of these students and had great successes with them getting either waivers or even having that revocation reversed. And we hope that we can help every student who's been in this situation be prepared for that interview.
Thankfully, there is hope. It's not a lost cause. You just don't have to leave. And hopefully we can get this sorted out. Friends, yeah, be sure to connect with us online on social media, us at Chine Coaching, and then with Argo as well. We want to continue to help you guys thrive in your journeys. Be sure to be subscribed to our newsletter for updates. We've done a previous live event with Mandy before, which was super impactful. So watch that. Great tips on how to prep for your visa interviews. And thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you guys next time at Chine Coaching. Cheers.